Hey, it's Soul. Earlier, I made a video about the most important features coming to Legion. In my opinion, it was the stuff that you should pay very close attention to and give some useful, constructive feedback, and do whatever else we can do to make it great. I'm going to talk about the rest of the stuff I left out from the first video because in my opinion, they're not as big of a deal. At the same time, of course, they're still exciting additions that'll probably please a lot of players, so they deserve a talking up and some initial analysis. With all that said, this video doesn't intend to put down the hard work that's being put into the expansion. I'm excited for just about everything, but I wanted to separate some of the groundbreaking stuff from additions that we're more accustomed to. So let's get the really easy stuff out of the way. We've got a new continent to explore, a new level cap, dungeons and raids and monsters, oh my. We kinda figured this, but thanks for the reminder. But imagine if they missed something. You know, it's the World of Warcraft Murlocalypse with new levels, new lands, new dungeons, and more. Critics would be all over it like talking heads on a politician. Let's get to the meat, and let's talk class orders. Class orders are what some players call Garrisons 2.0. Each class will get a snazzy hangout to goof off in, show off their transmog, diddle with their artifact weapons, and otherwise milk whatever content they can from it. One of its centerpieces is a new mission objective system that will send players out on special class order related quests. So it's pretty much a quest hub. Well, it's more like the love child of this table and this table. To the pleasure of some, class orders are not quite Garrisons 2.0 or Facebook game or, hey, you know what? I need to say my piece here, and I'm not putting down people's opinions about Garrisons, but calling Warlord's mission system a Facebook game is hella misleading. Like, if it really was, you'd be, I don't know, paying straight money for faster work orders or rare mission refreshes, and you know, there'd be no external way to obtain garrison resources other than waiting, because, well, I guess there'd be a different system where you add players to your friend list and then visit their garrison, do some of their stuff, and then bug them in some mass message to do the same, because that's the only way to get a few more drips of resources. Then when you're through pissing off all your friends, you can get on a garrison forum to find the popular Add Me friend, invite a bunch of nobodies, you can have a big network to maximize your rewards, and yeah, I kind of went off on that one, but a Facebook game it's kind of a stretch. Anyway, class orders. Here's the basics of how it'll work. You go out and recruit followers, just like garrisons. You give them stuff to help them complete missions, just like the shipyard. But your reward, instead, is a quest, and the quest will give you a reward. I think it's kind of a neat delivery system. Instead of traveling from hub to hub to be like, hey, what do I gotta do today? Players will send their cronies out to start some trouble, and then players move in, finish the job, and take all the glory. In a way, it's their bid for immersion, and class orders will be a direct contrast to the paradigm set by the original garrison system. Your class order will function as a public hub, so you'll be able to see players from both factions and even across servers maybe. The biggest difference between this and garrisons, though, is that it's not going to be this all-in-one experience. You'll be out in the world frequently to complete class order quests and other stuff, and still go to Dalaran or a capital city for other business. The Demon Hunter is the newest hero class since the Lich King, who is a hybrid tank and DPS capable of, oh, my bad, wrong video. So the Demon Hunter is a leather agility class who uses their speed to, oh, my bad. Adding a Demon Hunter gives us this: a 6th tank, a 3rd leather tank, a 12th melee spec, a 6th leather melee spec, and they're probably going to be added to the conquest token most likely. Sorry guys. So here's a fun little question: how many range specs have they added since WoW's launch? If your answer is 0, you're wrong, because survival hunters are going from a range to a melee spec, so the correct answer is -1. For players who have wanted to play the Demon Hunter class since WoW started, this is huge. It's gonna be fun as hell. From a PvP standpoint, it'll be huge if the class works out well. Jumping is neat, gliding is also neat, but we'll have to wait and see for Blizzard to finally give me alpha access, hello, and I can give a better analysis as we get closer to launch. But what about raiders? As a raid lead, I'm less thrilled about another melee class jumping into the mix, let alone another leather. I mean, it's crowded enough under the boss, you feel me? Demon Hunters will have to be pretty overpowered to let me bring them in. And these aren't monks, who players were a bit more tepid into jumping into. This is frickin' Demon Hunters. Even months after the announcement hype, I'm still getting indications from players that, well, we're gonna have a lot of Demon Hunters to manage. So in conclusion, Demon Hunters are cool, but they're just another melee class to add to the logistics. And so are Survival Hunters. I talked about legendaries in a much earlier video when forums were still having a cow about it. These upcoming legendaries in Legion look to be crazy powerful and potentially encounter breaking, but there are certain criteria that has to be met. One, it has to drop. The little info we have so far indicates that legendaries will be a very, very, very rare drop. Two, it has to drop for someone whose lifestyle it suits. Legendary bonuses won't activate in instant PvP, and not all legendaries are suited for small group content. And 3, it has to drop for someone whose lifestyle it suits and can maximize the item to its full benefit. Okay, I just gave one big piece of criteria, but I've eliminated all but 2 major groups: hardcore world PvPers and the mid to top end raiding people. Despite what you may think, this is not a huge part of the population, although yes, they are very influential because they're loud. And some of these players are treating these like atomic bombs. Just the announcement brought forth talk about how this is the end of competitive raiding and world PvP and whatever. In the end, these are just items though, subject to restrictions and hotfixes, and as of this video, testing. We're not sure how these items are going to look at launch. The only thing we can really analyze is existence, and nothing else is really specific. But the existence of such items is bound to influence player behavior. It's easy to foresee farming groups just camping specific areas to force a high spawn rate to activate. My hope is that PvP groups also get together to find such groups and will get their romp on. Artifact weapons are a big interlinking system that's going to supplement WoW's character progression throughout Legion. It's a huge piece of work, and it shows with the skins and quest lines and skill trees and backstory that's going into them. Artifacts look to be a great feature that demonstrates Blizzard's ability to take numerous existing systems and keep them looking fresh, even though this isn't really a revolutionary feature. The artifact system, like many of these types of systems, is just a sum of already existing parts. It's a weapon that levels up. It has its own gear slots. It has a progression tree with a non-linear path, but it'll eventually fully unlock. Its progression uses artifact points, and it's tied to pretty much all activities that you do. A large number of fully fleshed out quest lines are being set up to introduce them, and it's got tons of skins, unlockable through a variety of activities. Now mind you, I didn't mention anything fresh. It's more of the same, dressed up and pretty, but nothing super new. And instead of being the new thing around, artifacts will influence the existing game. Take loot for example. If no weapons drop from a raid, of course armor will drop in its place, but the number of items that drop should remain the same. Or should it? I'm gonna go on a quick tangent here. So in Warlords, we were introduced to gear that changes depending on the class spec. This occurs with other drops and crafted items and so on. No longer is there a scenario where intelligence plate would drop and there's no holy palette to give it to. Gear is much more likely to be usable by someone. My point is that more usable gear is being distributed. Players are gearing faster. In Warlords, players work less hard to obtain gear from multiple specs. This is an awesome quality of life change, but it's more than that. Effectively, today's players play less than they have before and achieve the same parity of gear. Of course, I have no numbers to prove one thing or another, so I'll kinda stop there. With Legion, weapons and offhands are no longer going to drop for obvious reasons. Players will gear even faster. It wouldn't surprise me if they began to clamor for a way to increase the likelihood of tertiaries to appear, in an effort to make raid and dungeon drops feel more exciting. Just as important as the artifact system is what happens after Legion. If we keep an artifact-like system for the next expansion, everything we get from this artifact will theoretically be folded into our character's baseline, if we even get that. And then we get another artifact, and then we do it all over again. This might not be a terrible thing depending on how players receive Legion's system. If we don't keep it, it'll be similar to what I said in an earlier video, and maybe we'll replace our artifact with a dungeon blue somewhere down the line. But what happens when we're on expansion number 8 and we're blowing through Legion content so we can get to the Murlocalypse? Do we still bother with powering up the artifact? I guess I mean to say that after this expansion is done, something's going to happen to artifacts, and I predict that no matter what the implementation, players are going to have mixed feelings about it. All in all, the artifact systems may alter the way we think of our character progression a bit, but it's not going to change much in the long run. If there is no weapon, this would basically be Warlord's perk system, but more. And that's it! Every single feature was covered, nothing else matters. I'm just kidding. If there's something that I totally missed, just let me know and I'll try to talk about it. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm Soul, and stay breezy.